Hello again, everybody. This is Paul Tinkle, and this week's 30 Minutes guest is Tandy Darby. He serves the 76th District. And we're here today to talk about some of the new laws that have gone into effect back on July 1st. But more than anything else, we'll just get some conversation going here right now by simply asking, what are you doing now that the legislature is not in session, Representative Darby?
Just trying to keep up. I guess that's the best way to put it. I was on the phone yesterday with some guys from Nashville there, and we were talking about some issues back this way, and that's what I told them. I said, guys, they asked me how I was enjoying summer, and I told them, I said, we may have to start session a little bit early this year just so I can get some rest. I said, I've been run ragged here, trying to sell a little produce, keep up with kids, and be at the functions I'm supposed to be at this summer.
Let me just kind of ask a few questions that go personal. What do you do for a living when you're not at the state legislature?
Well, that's a good question. I've been in the produce business. I work at Aiken and Porter. I graduated high school in 92. I got my diploma on that Sunday. That Monday morning at about 5 a.m., I left out to go to Georgia. So I worked all my summers in Georgia. The laws there at that time says that for a Division I athlete that I couldn't have a job. And so we got it worked around there. I may be breaking some rules by saying this, but at the time I was needing spending money. So I went to Georgia, worked in Pearson, Georgia 4 summers while I was in college. And that's how I got started on the produce track. And so I've worked at Aiken and Porter ever since I was 15, unloading and loading trucks, and then moved on into sales. And that's pretty much been my expertise. If I do have an expertise, that's been my expertise since 92. And me and my brother, we run a little farm, got a little quail preserve there. So that's a full-time business, raising quail, dogs, and getting the land manicured there to host hunts during the winter. And raising kids, that's a full-time job.
You have been very busy with your children, you and Casey, your wife, for the last 5 or 6 years, 7, 8, 9. How many you have been with your children as long as I can remember? And that's a lot of time that you've spent with family.
And Paul, I've been blessed beyond measure. And I had to speak to a bunch of kids, young adults, the best way to put it. The governor's school came out to the farm there about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And, you get to telling stories there, and you get caught up there and got pretty emotional. And as a young kid, as a kid that didn't know any better and just didn't know how to pray, know what to pray for. But even at an early age, Paul, I prayed to have the opportunity to have kids one day. And this sounds so remedial and sounds like a kid's prayer, but not to have healthy babies, not to be, I was greedy and just didn't know any different. And dear Lord, if you could just give me kids there that enjoyed sports like I do. And, you look back on that, and there's power in prayer. And not that the Lord answers remedial prayers like that, but it was one of those consistent prayers that I prayed very, very often. And you look back on it now, and you feel, that you're greedy and you're mature now, and that wasn't things to ask for or the things there that you pray for. But just as a young kid, that was my prayers. And we've been blessed, wore out lots of vehicles, and lots of money was spent into it. And I look at families now. Both the guys that I work with now have kids that are in travel ball. And I look back and I miss it. I miss it so bad. And, now that we don't have a ball bouncing at the house, there's lots of pressure on Sloan, my 8-year-old. And we're out there practicing every day. And it's been blessed beyond measure because of sports. And it's been good.
How did you meet your wife?
Well, funny you asked that. My dad and her mother, they were high school sweethearts there at one time. And Casey went to school at Bradford. So for Greenfield, that's a rival school. Well, we got tangled up there and started talking probably when I was a sophomore. Well, I was a junior. She was a sophomore. And, hey, everybody had a few rocky patches through the years there before we were married. And, but we finally found our way back to each other there during college and after college. And, yeah, it's been bliss ever since.
You played how many sports? Let me see if I got them. Just baseball and no baseball?
No, yes, sir.
Okay.
All three.
Okay. All three, which talking about football, basketball, and baseball. And you got a ride
yes,
in
sir.
Baseball. Let me just talk about that here.
Yeah. Well,
right here.
Everybody's, they all get better as they get older. Well, I'm not even going to go down that road. I was just, might have been a little bit above average. And football, I love football. And Coach McCleary was here. And we came over here for a couple of visits. And they were recruiting me. And he's a PA or a physical trainer out of Dyersburg. He was the better quarterback. Well, they beat us my senior year. We played Dyer County, and they beat us 7-6. And he was a better quarterback than I was. Well, summer came, and they gave the scholarship to him. Well, I think that after about halfway through the summer, that he didn't like it. So Coach McCleary, I got a call from him and asked if I was still interested. And at that moment, I'd done signed to play football and baseball at Lambeth. So I went to Lambeth there for a couple of years, and I just ended up playing baseball. The baseball coach says, hey, we're going to give you just as much money if you'll stick with baseball. So that's what I did. And I seen that I wasn't going to be in the MLB. So I decided I needed to know how to work. And I knew that I loved farming. I loved working at Aiken and Porter. And so I transferred back to UTM. And Coach Prather found out that I was coming back, and so he called, said, hey, come out and try it. See if you like it. You may want to continue to play ball a little. So I did, and I did. Great camaraderie. Had a mediocre team, but great camaraderie. Had a great time and couldn't imagine not playing. So I ended up finishing up baseball here, played 2 years. And got my ag business degree, and then that's when I went to Aiken and Porter full time.
You and your wife, Casey, have been, you mentioned it a moment ago, thousands of miles you put on the car or airplanes, whichever direction that you had to go. You have two daughters that are finishing up at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and a young one that's coming up into the elementary school system in Weakley County. How hard is it to be the father of three women?
Counting my wife.
I'm sorry, four women.
I'm counting my wife. I'm raising four. But it's the other way around. They do a lot of raising for me. They talk me through things or talk me down off of things. And good sounding board, all four of them.
Did you find yourself in a situation where, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was going to be this much traveling with the Lady Vols, with two daughters on the team, and knowing that you are going to places you've never seen or been before?
Oh, Paul, it was. And, lots of hardships. And I say that jokingly because me and my wife, we would look at each other saying, we'd leave lots of Knoxville ball games. We'd try to say something to the kids after they had the Ray Mears room and have us a little spot there where we could say hello to the kids and bye all in the same breath. Lots for 5 years now. Leave Knoxville at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Get back home by about 3, and then I'm up at 5:30 to go to work. Lots of times we was looking at each other a little bit cross-eyed, and that's what I told my wife. I said, it's a little bit hard right now. If I got to sell a kidney to make these games, we'll do whatever we got to do, because in 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, I said, we're going to be looking at one another and saying, if we could just had one more game, if we could just do it one more time. And we're here now. And it's a little bit of adjusting. You've always knew that ball was going to be right around the corner, whether it's going to be practice or games. And just always knew that opportunity was going to be there. And now it's not. And so it is. It's a little bit of adjusting.
Tess and Edie have degrees from the university. Did they stay in the same room, or did they have separate? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I'm shaking my head. Yes, sir. And it all worked out because I knew at home how they got along, and it wasn't real good a lot of times. And especially on the basketball court, when we would practice there at the house or go to the gym and practice, you could get about one game with one-on-one between the two. And then after that, well, I'll put it bluntly, there's been a little bloodshed down there on the home court there at the barn. So, but the competitiveness, you can't teach it. They got it. They either got it or they don't. And both of them are competitive. Neither one of them likes to lose. And I think that's what's helped to make them excel. And
your youngest, Sloan, will she play basketball?
Well, we're working toward that. Like I said,
Does she want to do this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And every afternoon, I say every afternoon, there'll be some there that we miss, but she'll go out and do it a lot on her own. Mm-hmm. But she knows.
What is she now, 7?
She's, she's 8, but she's going on about her 3rd year in law school, according to her. You know, it's because her vocabulary is way off the charts because she's just been around older people all her life.
Yeah.
But she knows that the bar is set high, and what gets me going is she'll always ask, Dad, could Edie do this at this age? Or, Dad, how did Tess do this when she was this young? Mm-hmm. So she realizes that, hey, she's got a couple of good role models there to follow up and try to improve and be better than they are. And if you got that kind of attitude right out of the gate, I think you're ahead of the curve.
I won't keep you on this subject too terribly long, but your wife has spent a lot of time at the legislature, knowing the ropes of all of that. You think that sometime when you decide to maybe not be the state representative that she might want that job? Because she's got a lot of experience. We're talking about your wife, Casey Darby.
Yes, sir. If that's the case, I feel for the people up there. They hadn't seen anything like her. She's so effective and always says the right things. And she's been a mother to my kids, and I couldn't have it any way. And she's just as competitive as any of us. Board games and card games was not that didn't happen a lot around our house because all of us are competitive, and before you know it, that board game would be thrown in the floor at an early age.
You've just joined us. We're talking with State Representative Tandy Darby. The legislature finally finished, and there were some laws that started in the 1st of July. What's the one bill that you were most pleased to see get across the governor's desk?
It's been a 3-year battle, and I say it's been a battle. It really hadn't. It's the right thing to do. But me and Frank Nicely passed away about a month ago. He was on his tractor bush hogging in East Tennessee, Strawberry Plains up there, and there is not a fella that I'd met that's got more quips than Frank Nicely. He had an analogy on everything there, and you never really could prove him wrong on anything. You couldn't prove him right, but you couldn't prove him wrong. And just a gem of a fella. And he passed away on his tractor. Well, like I said, Paul, about a month ago. And me and him started this deal, Farm Bureau. They brought it to our attention, and I was still am a little wet behind the ears on some things, but they brought it to us 3 years ago and wanted me to run it, and I felt that was a pretty good honor. But this was to take property tax out of the state constitution, because at any time the state could charge a property tax along with your city and county. It was phased out at about the same time that sales tax was implemented in Tennessee, which I'm going to say was around 48 or 49 when that happened, but it's still in the Constitution. So for us to get a resolution there, a referendum to get it out, there had to be an amendment, and it'll be in 2026. It will be on the ballot that the people, the great folks of the state of Tennessee, will vote yes or no should the property tax be taken out of the state constitution. And me and Frank Nicely started that bill 2 years ago, and then Senator Hale had it on the Senate side this last year. So we got it across the finish line, and didn't have a lot of opposition. I don't know why you would have any opposition to that, but we did. And so we nailed it there in the on the floor and got it passed. So it'll be on the ballots here soon.
What else is on your radar and that you're pleased with, or maybe something that Weekly Countyans and others across the area, Carroll and Henry, there's obviously 2 or 3 things that affect Northwest Tennessee.
Yes, sir. And some of these things that's happening here, right here, the 1st of July. And a lot of this stuff, you see it in convenience stores. And this was kind of high on my list. You see packages of hemp-derived products. And you look at these packages, they're all geared. Cartoon characters is not going to cause me or you to pick up a product and say, hey, I want to get this. But for an adolescent there, you have cartoon characters, bright, colorful packaging, and it's all hemp-derived products. We put a lot of stipulation on that, and you'll see some big changes on going into some of these convenience stores on the way that they handle that. So I definitely think that was a feather in the cap for folks here in Tennessee.
What else?
Oh, Paul, the list is long here. The smuggling, human smuggling, threats of mass violence. I thought that was pretty good to deter folks from just making a statement at any type of government building, a school, anything like that. It's kind of like yelling bomb on a plane. If there's repercussions now to making any kind of statements like that, I have to fight this sometimes. But you see, or my family, the stuff gets put on social media, and it'll be a deep fake AI generated stuff. And we put some stipulations there, put some boundaries on what can be done and what can't be done. So I think that's because we're gonna see more and more of this, Paul, daily. AI, artificial intelligence, and I don't know how intelligent it actually is, but it is one of those things that your entire reputation can be turned upside down with AI nowadays. And you mentioned it a moment ago, but people can say whatever they want to say in social media. And sometimes it hurts, sometimes it's a lie, sometimes it's true, but you don't know whether it is or it isn't under any circumstances when you get right down to it. And they don't have to say their name. They can be anonymous.
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir. And Paul, there's other ones. Let's see, blocking traffic. We've all seen the horrors of, especially in urban areas where folks want to get their point across, so they block traffic. Well, you're not going to do that here in Tennessee. And if you are, there's going to be repercussions for it. I know a big question right now, and is the way that our roads are. And there's not a week that goes by that I don't have a phone call. Either I hadn't been doing much bragging. I've been doing a lot of griping about the way our roads are here in West Tennessee. We put $1 billion in it, into TDOT the last 2 years, and I'll be the joke of the public by making that statement and driving down the road out here and feeling how rough it is. But it's something there that's high on my priority list. And I probably got a little bit too vocal last year, and I'm not on transportation committee anymore, Paul. So I didn't stay in my lane like I probably should have, but it was one of those deals that I voiced my opinion. And I know that the rest of the state, they've got issues too, but just because we don't have the census that other urban areas or other divisions have doesn't mean that we don't need road service here too.
Well, I think everybody appreciates your efforts on trying to get potholes repaired, and not just in the district, but it seems to be that a lot of the money goes to different places than what we used to have. And this is no secret. There are times when sometimes we might get more than our unfair share. We all know that. I want to direct this question to you because this has been such a major, major discussion, and that is ICE trying to get the people back to where they're supposed to be. Do you know if we have any illegals in this community, in your district? Do you know whether there are or are not?
No, sir. I don't. If you're here for the right reasons and
you got a green card?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I know a lot of the farmers, they'll have the workers from, right now it's South Africa. And, they're worried a little bit about, being able to drive on the road. I know that the licensure deal come up this year, and that was one of my concerns was, we have our workers here from South America that are here for farming practices. And if they're get on a tractor or in a truck, driving from one field to the other, are they susceptible here to being stopped or don't have the right licensure? So yes, it will affect us all in one way or another. But if you come here and you're here for the right reasons, why not do the path to citizenship there to make it all legal? And I really think that and like I said, this is all on the federal level, so it's way above my pay grade. But I think that there are ways right now that they're trying to ease the path there to citizenship. And, why somebody that wants to be here for the right reasons would not take advantage of that is beyond me.
Teachers get a raise.
Yes, sir.
How you feel about it?
Oh, they're so important, and everything that they do shapes our future. And to have teachers there that we want top-notch teachers, and going back and looking through some of this paperwork, Weakley County does a great job for, you look at the number one schools, the number twos, the number threes, they're all in the wealthiest sections of the state for the most part.
Christian schools?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And they do a great job. To have the opportunity that your family says, this is where I want you to go. We have the means to make this work. I think is a feather in everyone's cap there that they're able to do that.
There's a lot of questions about vouchers, and of course that's the obvious that the governor wanted to make sure that happened, and it's been on your watch as well.
Yes, sir. Ever since day one when I got into this, that's what I said. I just didn't see the vitamins in taking taxpayer money and putting it toward a private institution there. And Paul, it's definitely a touchy subject. And I voted no. I was one of the Republicans there that held on and voted no. I hung the phone up at about 10:30 Wednesday night and knew that I was beat. I counted 53 votes, and that's exactly what it was. There was another vote that shouldn't have been counted to make it 54, but my numbers were right, that 53 yeses. And, and I've asked for this number, I would say a half a dozen times here in the last 6 months, and apparently no one is keeping track of it on how many existing private school kids are using the voucher money for their next year of private school. If you got a family there and my hat's off to them, if that's the direction that they want to go and have got the means to do it, but I don't think it ought to be your money that goes to helps pay for a kid, especially a kid that the family has already chosen we're going to be in private school. So it's kind of a handout to kids that are already in private schools. And you would think that we would be able to see the distinction between what kids got the money and where they were in school the year before. But apparently that's not being asked. So I don't know if we will ever have that number. But I do not personally know. I've got a lot of phone calls from friends of mine that go to a private school. They're not in Weakley County. I want to know what's the process of getting on the voucher list. I have not had anyone from Weakley County, Carroll County, or Henry County that attends a public school call and want to know, how do I get on the voucher list for private school? So just doing my remedial math, I don't know anybody personally that's taking a kid out of public school going private.
We're just a couple of minutes before we close our program today with State Representative Tandy Darby. President Trump, just based on what you've seen here in the first 6.5 months, would you give him an A, a B? Where is he on your scorecard?
I give him an A for what he is trying to do with this country, being where me and you have grown up and how we get things done, how we talk to people, when you're in that position, and in my book, that's a pretty hallowed position. And there's things that have been said to him. There's things that he said. And when you have had a bullseye on you for 4 years, or then before that, 8 years, I would probably retaliate some too. And, but in the position that you're in, that everybody's watching, procedural and what he's trying to do, there's not a doubt in my mind that he wants to make the country better. And the ship had to be rightened. The ship had to get back on the path. And I think that he's the guy to do it. But, that kind of language, the way that you talk to folks, the way that you get things done, he didn't grow up in Weakley County, Tennessee. And, when you grow up in New York, grow up in urban areas, you talk a little different. And I think that he could be so much more effective if he would just say, hey, look, he won. No doubt about it. He won and is doing everything in my book that he is to strengthen, make us better in every aspect.
Who's going to be our next governor? Who are the people that we may not know who the East Tennessee or for that fact in Middle Tennessee, or is there somebody here in West Tennessee that you see that may be coming up as one of the candidates?
John Rose, I've heard him speak on multiple occasions, and as far as I know, unless something's been done here in the last few minutes, nobody else has announced. So to make that determination, Paul, I don't know. I think there'll be, was it, and Paul, you may know, was it 88 or 89, the last time that there was two people in the governor's race? Since then, it's been three, or more than two. And I don't think that it's going to be a two-person race. I think everybody's just on their heels and wanting to make sure that to get everything done, whether it be campaign finance laws or whatever it is, whatever box that they got to check. But John Rose is the only official one that I know of at this moment.
When will you make up your mind, or have you already made up your mind that you want to be the state representative for the 76th district again?
Oh, as of right now, yes, sir. I've enjoyed it. Just a little old pepper salesman from West Tennessee, and I've met a lot of great people and hope that folks think that I wear my West Tennessee hat proudly. And it's been one of the biggest honors of my life, and to say that I get to represent. And it's, like I said, for somebody there that's worked 7 days a week, never got out behind the desk, it's eye-opening that a big world exists out there.
Thank you for your time today. I enjoyed visiting and talking about family and business and the legislature. Thanks for coming in.
Paul, I can't say enough for what you do for West Tennessee. Just, 2 weeks ago, I listened to 30 for 30 on Sunday morning there, Bobby Knight, and I had to speak at they honored Easton Sullivan for winning Mr. Baseball in Tennessee, and I used a quote from the Bobby Knight, that 30 for 30 that I heard. I listened to it Sunday morning, Monday night. I used that quote. And, what you do for West Tennessee, Paul, it's, you can't put it on paper how valuable it is. And, from myself and everybody else from District 76, we say thank you.
That's our program today. Hope you've enjoyed listening to State Representative Tandy Darby. Paul Tinkle, pre-recorded. Thanks for listening, everybody, to this week's 30 Minutes.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.